This week on Capitol Hill, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is set to appear before two Senate committees for his confirmation hearings to lead the Department of Health and Human Services. Kennedy is a well-known vaccine skeptic, and his lawyer has actually called on the FDA to revoke approval for the polio vaccine. That attorney, Aaron Siri, says Kennedy has nothing to do with that petition. Joining us now is Congressman Steve Cohen, a Democrat from Tennessee. Thanks for coming on. I should note to our viewers, you are a polio survivor, and you have called on the Senate to reject Kennedy's nomination. So, Congressman, thank you for joining us. Let me just ask you off the bat. Kennedy is now saying, I'm all for the polio vaccine. He has said that in recent weeks since he was named as Trump's pick for HHS secretary. Trump himself has said the polio vaccine is not going away. Do you not believe that?
I don't believe much of what Donald Trump says. He changes from day to day, and Bobby seems to be doing the same thing. Bobby has been running around with a bunch of conspiratorial people on vaccine skeptics for years. And last he said that the polio vaccine caused more illness and deaths than it saved, protected and saved. Well, he's wrong. In 1954, my father was a doctor, gave the polio vaccine to second graders. I was in kindergarten, so I didn't get the polio vaccine. My brother did. I got polio in September after he had the vaccine in his hands in March, but didn't have the protocol to give it to me. Hospital for 2.5 months. I've had problems with my leg over the years. Polio is a part of my life. And I wear a brace now, and I have some difficulties with what's called post-polio. I cannot stand by, nor should Mitch McConnell, and allow this nomination to go through that threatens polio to children and people all over the world. It's still present in certain parts of the world. It's had a case or two in this country, and we've got a pandemic coming up, and Bobby wasn't real good on the COVID vaccines, and we might be having a bird flu pandemic that'd be worse than COVID, and we've got a problem in Kansas right now with a breakout of tuberculosis. We need the top doc, the top scientist at the HHS, somebody who believes in science, if not a scientist, and Bobby's not that guy. And that's a very dangerous, dangerous, dangerous nomination to people of the world, children in the United States.
You mentioned Mitch McConnell, a Republican in the Senate. He is also a polio survivor. Have you talked to him about this and RFK Jr.'s nomination?
To be honest, no. I tried to get him to join me in an op-ed that I wrote that was published in the USA Today. They said that they had said what they were going to say, and that was it, that they had skepticism and little problems with what he'd done. Mitch might end up voting no, just as he did on Hexit. But you got to have 4 people vote no, and there should be 4 people. I saw one of my Democratic friends said he might vote for him because he went to law school with him at Virginia. Well, I've known Bobby since 1980. He's always been nice to me, and we've had a good relationship. But he's not the man for HHS, and this is dangerous. And so I had a need to speak out, and anybody else, Democrat or Republican, to speak up for health and science. The NIH, so him to be in charge of the NIH, to be in charge of the CDC, when he's got all these theories that he's got about vaccines, and he told the people in Samoa that if they used in a measles outbreak and they shouldn't take the measles vaccine. Well, they had 81 people die because people listened to him and didn't take the measles vaccine, and it spread and it spread. We need to use vaccines are a wonderful panacea in the world that was given to us. And Jonas Salk and Dr. Sabin gave us the polio vaccine, and other physicians who did a great job and scientists producing this. And we need to use those vaccines and those scientists and abilities, not stop them and put a stop on them like Trump has done with our financial support for children and people that need food.
I just want to be clear for our viewers, because there's been a lot to track over the last week plus, right? There has been no pledge or vow to stop vaccinations from Trump and RFK Jr. They have said they want to do more research. They want to look at them, but that they're not going to just stop vaccines, right? What do you say to that? Taking a deeper dive at look into these vaccines like the polio vaccine.
Not like you have to start something over. When you do, you have more research. You have placebos given to some people and the vaccine given to others. And those with placebos can very easily could be vulnerable to the virus because they haven't gotten the vaccine. These are proven and effective vaccines, and you don't need to start from scratch with somebody who was a lawyer doing environmental work and putting him in charge. I mean, this whole Trump administration is topsy-turvy, and Trump will say anything. He told the people he cared about the people. He cares about the billionaires. That's what this is all about, is Project 2025, saving money for taking programs away from common, everyday people that need government help and giving it to the wealthiest people in this country. This is a takeover of our government by Donald Trump to make us like Hungary and Orban and have an authoritarian oligarchy in our country. And it's scary as hell.
And that is your view. And there are certainly other Democrats who have come out and echoed that same concern. But on RFK Jr., I want to just follow up on that, because I've talked to some senators who have said, look, I do not like his past history with vaccines. That really concerns me. But I do like these other initiatives that he is vowing to follow through on, such as, cutting down on processed foods and clean water and air and, fluoride in the water and some of these other issues that are really appealing to a lot of people. And so they're kind of, thinking about voting for him because of those other things that he is talking about. What do you say to those senators?
Well, first of all, Michelle Obama did a lot of things that Bobby's talking about and changing the children's lunch programs and what they would get to make sure they got vegetables, fresh vegetables and fruits. And that was changed because people revolted against it and the food industry was against it. Bobby's not ahead of Michelle Obama, believe me. And any changes you make are going to be affected by the food industry. Sure, we have too much processed food. Sure, people are overweight and way beyond what they should be, but that's their choices. And people, no matter what you do, Mayor Bloomberg tried to get people to stop getting gigantic soft drinks. Well, that didn't go over well either. And people continue to eat an unhealthy food, and that's what America runs on. We run on McBurgers and fries and unhealthy foods. Put Bobby in some food program. Put him in Iowa and let him work on agriculture programs, but don't put him in charge of health. Health and food don't necessarily have to go together. There are food programs he could be involved in. But the idea that he should be put in charge of vaccines and medicines and surgical and different procedures because he has some good idea about processed foods and people losing weight is absurd.
Congressman Steve Cohen, thank you for coming on to share your point of view here. We appreciate it, especially given your history as a polio survivor. You have a unique perspective. Go ahead.
Thank you. I do, and it'd be wrong for me not to speak out for all the people who've had polio and all the people who might have polio. It's not a fun disease, and it affects me these days now. It's called post-polio syndrome.
I'm sorry to hear that. Thank you so much, Congressman. And still ahead this